Welcome to Season 3 of Malevolent Autopsy. I'm your host, Queen. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so excited to be here with you all. Now, let me warn you, this show contains major spoilers for everything in Malevolent as of the day this episode is published, so if you are not caught up, I'm not liable. Before we get started today, I'd like to ask my lovely co-host a new question. Can you let go?
Hello, Vol Control here, he, him pronouns, and letting go gets easier every day. I've long since let go, since we are recording this almost a week after the finale came out. Holy shit, it hasn't even been a full week. The finale came out last Friday, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I feel like I was a different person after hearing the finale. I feel like I'm a different person now. What is time?
Well, do you want to tell the public how it went for us?
Well, for the public listeners, they got to listen to it at the same time that we did. Chapter 300 and DC Al-Coda. The patrons and the public heard it all together, and that was really special. That's never happened before, so that was really cool. But for a quick recap as to what we all heard, Arthur resolves to let go. Lilith swoops in to save the day, trapping Kane and catching Arthur before he falls. And in Arthur's dying breath, she offers him a kind lie that lets him see his baby girl one last time. Then we get a waylay jump scare, and our boys are alive. The manager offers Arthur a choice, but it really isn't a choice. Of course, he's going to choose life and choose John. So back we go to Arkham, and the office is set back to rights with a few new trinkets and a letter from Daniel. Series 1 wraps up the way it should with a poem. And Faroe? What?
Plot twist of the
Oh my
century.
god. I didn't know. I feel like throughout the series people have discussed and debated whether or not Faroe was going to actually appear in the story, and I think a lot of people felt like it would sort of muddy the point if Faroe came back to life at the end of the show. But the way that Harlan executed this, not only the closure for Arthur with seeing his baby girl as he's dying, but also the introduction of a grown-up Faroe for him to interact with is that's perfect. It's so interesting. I'm so intrigued.
I think when people talked about Faroe entering the narrative in the past, it was very limited to Faroe as she was before she
Right.
died. And because we could not fathom anything else, really. I'm sure, of course, as I'm saying that, there's going to be some people going, actually, I always said it was going to be grown up Faroe, but let me get in front of you there. I'm sure some people thought that. The vast majority of people were not counting on Faroe showing up as a grown
Right.
adult, and certainly not being voiced by anybody else. And so I think that even if you predicted Faroe would somehow come back, you probably maybe didn't get this close to what it was actually going to be like. And I was on the train of, I don't think it makes sense for Arthur to get Faroe back because that kind of negates all of the progress and
Exactly.
the willingness to move forward that he's made. And
He has to be accountable.
yeah, it would have taken something away from me to have Faroe come back to Arthur and be like, this relationship he never got to have. In the end, he gets what he wants anyway. And that's kind of not something I wanted. I had never even considered the possibility that he would get her back like
Right.
this. And I'm honestly so okay with that. I'm super fine with that.
Yeah, a different Furrow. It's not his Furrow. And that has been something that I've heard people start to talk about over the past week is what is this going to be like? How is this going to actually play out?
Well, I mean, it's fascinating. There's so many logistical questions I have. I'm sure they're going to be answered in some capacity in series 2, but so I will not be loudly wrong in front of everybody because I know I'm getting my answers later. But I do think that Arthur, and I'm just going to flow right into my carrot if you
Go
don't
for it.
mind. I was just thinking, why am I not upset that Arthur did get Furrow back? Like what happened to make me change my mind about that? And it's because Arthur made the decision himself. He
Right.
was fully willing, ready, and able to go into a future where he lost his baby girl and he was never going to get her back,
Right.
and he realized he needed something else to live for. Like he got to
Yeah.
learn the lesson,
Yeah.
and he chose that experience, and he was fully willing to do it. And that, I think, to me is more important than Arthur actually having the reality of living that life.
That's such an interesting part of that decision that I hadn't really considered. Like, I mean, yes, like, obviously, he was choosing between returning to a life where he could be Faro's father and, like, help raise her, and a life where he knows that she's not there. But I hadn't like fully grasped that he was not just choosing John and choosing to move on and choosing to let go of, that guilt and that self-flagellation that he has always had about Faro's death. But yeah, you make a good point that he actively chose to let go.
He chose to let go, and this isn't even equivalent because Arthur is not going to get to raise his little girl. He has to figure out who the fuck she is,
Yeah.
actually. And he also has to keep up with like whatever relationship they have together. Like, she called him
Right.
dad. They clearly, she has experiences with him that he doesn't know about.
Oh,
And so there are there are so many questions I have about how that's going to work out, what their relationship's going to be like, how Arthur's going to explain this missing gap in his memory to her,
yeah.
if that's going to be relevant.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, yeah, how that all plays out.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I'm really excited, but my carrot this week was the fact that he made that decision himself. That meant a lot to me, and it was important for me to see that he could make that choice, that he did successfully do it. And it inspired me in a way to be like, I don't know, there's something about Malevolent and Arthur specifically and John and the characters in Malevolent where they do something. And I think it's just because of how obviously flawed and
Mm-hmm.
gray all of them are. It makes me feel like, oh, I could do that too.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be the perfect protagonist who makes the right call all the
Yeah.
time. And none of Arthur's hard choices were glamorized. Like, there was never, I mean, you've watched media where like people talk about, the hero makes a sacrifice and then they cry about it because they're upset they made the wrong decision,
Mm-hmm.
and people around them comfort them and try to like explain they didn't really do anything wrong, they had no other choice, things like that. But Arthur doesn't get that, and that I feel is way more true to life, and I really like it. So it meant a lot to me to have him make a hard choice like that one, and it really felt like it was strong enough to reach through and pull through to a flawed listener like
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah, it felt like such a satisfying conclusion to this aspect of Arthur's character arc. And, I was talking with some people just the other night about how much they struggled with realizing that it's okay to make mistakes. Like making one mistake doesn't mean you're bad forever. And I I didn't realize how many people struggled with that feeling and realizing that like it's okay to make mistakes and it doesn't make you being a flawed person doesn't make you a morally bad person. And so I think that representations of truly flawed characters who have non-linear growth like in Malevolent is so important and it's so needed, and I feel like it's missing so much in a lot of media, especially to the extent and the exploration that we see in Malevolent.
You said it's okay for people to make mistakes, and Ajax says, "Okay, maybe not for you, Vol, but I am not allowed to make mistakes." And that's exactly how I
Right.
feel. Like, yeah, you guys are allowed to be flawed, but not me. Not me. So it's very refreshing. What was your
Oh
carrot?
my God. I have so many carrots, but I think the first one that I wrote down, let's start there. The first one that I wrote down was the fucking Waylay jump scare. And I know that Harlan talked in the post show about how he wanted to create an ending that was both satisfying for people who wanted the story to end here and also have it be fun for people who wanted the story to continue, because there's definitely two different kinds of listeners, and some people may not want to have this story dragged into another season. Some people prefer short and sweet, just the planned arc, but couldn't be me. But the Waylay jump scare was just so perfect, and I just during the finale, my eyes just kept getting wider and wider, and my mouth just kept dropping further and further open. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was truly. Again, we said so many times before on Autopsy, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm so bewildered. I can't even imagine. And yeah, no, didn't see a single part of this coming.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that the sort of the big climax, the big final victory was so satisfying, so perfect. And I mean, it was, I won't say predictable, but it hit all of the right tropes. It gave us a really hopeful, satisfying victory, even though Arthur dies. And so to have Arthur not die, to have Arthur have one more chance was just so exciting. So exciting.
I love that. And I do think you're right. I would not ever call this finale predictable. I would say it hit the
Yes.
marks it's supposed to
Yes,
hit.
exactly.
And there's a difference in that. I know it's subtle, but there is a difference, and I think he landed it really well. I This was all the emotion I expected and wanted and
He
more.
really stuck the landing, and none of us knew that Arthur and John were going to be the protagonists for series 2. We had no idea, and Harlan is pretty damn good at keeping secrets when he wants to keep secrets. Like he kept like telling us to like brace ourselves.
Yeah, I have to say, like, not even the great old ones knew anything about series 2. He was keeping it so locked down that there was no way for us to tell for sure if John and Arthur were going to be the protagonists. And I are, again, already getting ahead of people saying I always thought they'd be the protagonists, but there's a difference between what you thought and what we knew. And nobody knew for 100% certain that they were coming back. And I think that was important because he made a really good point in the post-show video. If you haven't watched the post and pre-show video, they are valuable. I would go watch them. He said, like, how hard hitting is something if you know there's a sequel. Like you just know that Iron Man's not going to die because there's another movie coming out. And that's perfect. I mean, that he's so right, for me at least. I would have been like, oh, Arthur's gonna be fine because he's a protagonist in series 2, and it wouldn't have felt the
No, no.
same.
And we wouldn't have gone through that emotional roller coaster. And I have to say that during the pre-show, I think somebody in the chat asked Harlan if he was done with John and Arthur, or if he was gonna miss them or something like that. And he very like quickly, like very dismissively was like, no, I'm ready to put them down. Like I'm done with them. And I fully
God,
believed him. I fully believed him, and I thought it
yeah,
was very funny, and I felt I totally understood like why he might be ready to start with a clean slate,
yeah.
start fresh. So when John and Arthur survived, I was like, oh my God, he even played me.
He's such a big fat
He's
liar. He's so good at it. Like they him and Joe are so good at saying the exact opposite thing and being so believable about it so that we can't see anything coming. It's hilarious. I love it. But it also has now solidified the I know where Ren gets the paranoia. I now understand where the suspicion comes from because not even the plain blanket statements can be
Nope.
trusted. If there's a voice that comes out in Spooky Stream too much, I get
Yeah.
suspicious that character is going to appear soon. If they make a joke about something and it kind of seems out of nowhere, I start to try and see if that's going to come up in Malevolent because they're just so good at that.
We get the red string board out all the time.
Yeah, I mean the Parker voice.
Right. I was just thinking about that too.
Yeah,
Ajaqs in
yeah,
the chat
crazy.
mentions that their favorite question from the chat was, does Kane like to sing? And Harlan's answer was, just you fucking wait.
I did love
Oh
that.
man.
That was very good. Also, oh my god, another good moment from chat. I Kane was talking about his flesh wall, and I was like, I want to be part of the flesh wall. And then Harlan typed it wrong. And, and it was, I won be flesh wall. It was very good.
It's very funny.
It's very good. What was your stick, though?
Oh, man. So, listeners of the podcast know that I am an angst enjoyer. I love a tragedy. And so my stick is not really a stick, but it was something that was heart-wrenching rather than something that was it was heart-wrenching and I enjoyed it. How about that? So I think I've seen a couple other people mention this, but the fact that the music stops mid-measure as
Yeah.
Arthur's dying
Oh.
and realizing that Faro's not there. Oh my
Oh my
God.
God.
Wow. Wow.
That decision takes, oh man, I wonder how hard that was for Harlan. Man, that hurts. It hurts to think about, and I'm not even hearing it right now.
Well, and I think he said in the post show that he was fully crying, like actually crying, zero effort, actually crying, recording Arthur's death scene because he was just so wrapped up in it. Oh man, what a performance.
Well, and he said this was also one of the first times that he had ever cried over John and Arthur's relationship by itself. And I thought that was beautiful because, man, I don't often cry because of their relationship. I often cry because of their characters and like story beats or whatever. But this was extremely like, it was very hard hitting for their relationship. It was beautiful.
Speaking of tragedies, what is your stick this week, Queen?
Oh, yeah. So what now? What are you going to make me cry about now? Because now the stakes have reset to 0 and I get to watch us climb a whole nother hill. And I'm so anxious about what the next thing that's going to wreck me is going to be. Because that's what, that's what it is. It's a roller coaster and we're going back up the hill. And we just came down from a really, really high one. And I'm like, how do you follow that? And like, that's not the pressure I want to put on this. I'm not saying series 2 has to one up series 1, but like the way that Harlan writes emotion, how is that going to get me now?
Yeah, and it's gonna be, the stakes are gonna be so different because if all of series 2 stays kind of more in Arkham, doing investigations, doing cases, having sort of like monster of the week or monster of the part or whatever, I am really curious to see how the change in stakes is going to change the emotional conflict and things like that. Because I think that you can still have really impactful emotional conflict even if it's about forgetting to get the right kind of cereal at the grocery store. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Vol, we have 20 submissions.
Yep. We got a lot.
So let's burn through these at the speed of light.
So most of these are in order by the time that they hit our drive, because we were going to try and go over these during our like actual post-finale autopsy episode, but we had the wonderful Joe Guthrie on and she was willing to blab with us for an hour, so of course we were just gonna do that. So most of these are just in order of when they got submitted, and I am so happy. I'm so happy with the first submission. It really sets the tone. Actually, wait, we have to talk about one more thing. Okay. We will also have submissions talking about the Threshold trailer, the animated Threshold trailer. So, just FYI.
Okay, got it. Let's get into it.
Hi, she, her, it's Malevolent in space. It's Malevolent in space. There's a patent for a flying machine. There's a letter from the desk of Harry Truman about UFOs. And it's Ensick. It's Malevolent in space. There's a Nazi. Why is there a Nazi? Are we in 1947? What does the Western Railroad Company have to do with this? What a stunt chick.
Hi, that was me an hour ago.
because along with the finale, we got a trailer for Threshold. And there's a lot you can fit into 2.5 minutes when you also have visual information. Always trust with your entire heart Lilith's final act. Illusions can cause real pain, but they can also bring real peace.
Pie, that will forever be my favorite thing you have ever submitted to Autopsy. I don't think anything will top that. Thank you so much. In fact, we're done. That's it. That's all
Oh
I
my
needed to
God.
hear. Sorry, all the rest of 19 of you.
I'm so grateful that we had to record like quote unquote the finale autopsy on Saturday like at noon right after the finale dropped, so we had to be like, folks, if you want to get your voice sub in to be on autopsy, you have to like record it in 12 hours or less. And so we got some real gems of like minutes after, no, not minutes, but hours after the finale happened, real-time responses, and they are wonderful.
Oh man, so good. But yeah, for the public, you should know, but if you don't, animated trailer for Malevolent Threshold, which is what series 2 is called. Very cool. Go watch it. It looks great, and it's very domestic Jarther. Very excited.
But I didn't even, of course, I'm such a puzzle casual. I didn't even notice there were so many clues, and it's been really fun watching Pi and Hydrus and a few other people sleuthing it out already. The series 2 is barely even started, and already the sleuths are out.
Yeah, and I the minute Pi was like, "It's malevolent in space," I'm like,
What?
"What?" And then they started going on, and I'm like, oh my God. You dorks. You absolute nerds. I love you guys. You're great. And your final message about hope and illusions, man, brings up a lot of thoughts about things like religion
Hmm.
and people's decision to be close with that and what it means to give somebody
Hmm.
hope. Or, even I'm thinking specifically of when Arthur chose to tell Antoine that he was
Right.
loved and before he
Yeah.
died, despite knowing that that's probably not true,
Yeah.
that kind of thing can heal and bring peace. And is that more important right now than the
Yeah.
truth and that kind of thing? So man, yeah. I wonder if Lilith was watching and learned something from Arthur in that
Mm.
moment.
What a thought.
Hi, this is Misraa, pronoun she, they, and that finale. That finale was everything I wanted and more. Arthur himself acknowledging that Cain dismissed John, and that coming back to bite him in the ass, since that was what left John free to plant the lighter. And they both lived. I mean, Arthur died, but he got better, thanks to the manager, and he and John chose once again to stay together, which was honestly my biggest fear of the ending. That only one would die or somehow have to sacrifice themselves as a vessel to save reality. I found it incredibly sweet that Arthur didn't put John in timeout through his talk with the manager and chose a life with John where they can continue to try to help others over gaining a life with Thoreau, but losing the memories of everything they had been through, even as John himself was willing to let Arthur take that deal. And Arthur making that choice himself, saying he's ready to find a new purpose with John. They've come so far from Arthur at the end of season 5 saying he never should have opened that book. I am so excited and looking forward to series 2. This ending was so satisfying, but it's even better knowing we have so much more to come.
Thank you, Misraa, for your submission, and I am so happy that you are here for the ride too. Man, it's so nice to be with you and share a space with you. I love your thoughts.
Also, you took me out with Arthur died, but he got better. That's really
But he got
funny.
better.
But one of my carrots this week was the fact that Arthur didn't put John in timeout. I thought that was such a cool reversal of what Cain did to John and Arthur at the end of season 5. I thought that was really cool. End of season 4. End of season 4. Wow.
Hi, Autopsy. Rose of Envy, she/her. It is 10:14 p.m. on the night of the 30th. I actually have to be up at a quite early hour, and I'm just going to stream consciousness this. I've got the live stream playing on my phone right now. You might be able to hear it faintly in the background. I've been sobbing for the past 10 minutes minimum, but oh my god, I don't even know what to think. Series 1 is done. There's so many things to talk about. I don't even know where to start, but we got Series 2 coming up on Monday for patrons, and I couldn't be happier. The fact that we keep going, and I'm gonna re-listen to this probably every day this weekend. And I wish I wasn't busy this weekend, or else I'd be, re-listening to it constantly now. But what a wonderful job of storytelling Harlan has done. I am just in awe of all of it. And the emotional impact that these chapters have, I just can't believe how much I feel listening to this. When I say Malevolent has gotten me through a lot, it really truly has. And it has not only gotten me through a lot, it has reignited my passion as a creator. I used to write a lot. I used to do a lot of music things, not just for work, but for fun, for passion. And this podcast has reignited that passion. And I'm sorry, I'm going over the time limit. And I'm sorry, my voice is probably sounding rough, but it makes me very emotional. And I just want to say thank you, Autopsy. Again, I hope I can be here. I do have to be a professional around noon on Saturday, so you might find me with one AirPod in, halfway typing through a message, but I'll be here one way or the other. And thank you, Harlan, for making such a wonderful podcast. Thank you, Invictus Server, for being such a wonderful community. And thank you, Autopsy, for giving us a voice for all of the emotions we have for this podcast.
Rose, thank you so much. It is such a privilege and an honor to share this space with you, and I hope that you know how much joy and light you bring to Autopsy, to Malevolent, and the fandom. You are such a gift and a treasure. And yeah, I fully agree with you. Malevolent makes you feel things and gets you through things on a level that I've just never experienced with other fandoms, even ones very close to my heart at very formative years.
Yeah, having our guy go through the horrors and persisting, it makes you feel like, you know what? I think I can do this.
Hello, it's Spade. Post finale immediately. It's currently 10:20 p.m. The post show just ended. It was a good ending. It was nice. I want to talk about things that I came back, specifically that I've been thinking of for a while. I'm very glad that they did. I held hope that Arthur and John wouldn't permanently die since Da Capo, and I wasn't sure if it was denial or hope. It was because of manager dialogue. It is when he says, "If you two should succeed, I'll be the one thanking you." And the way it was worded always made me think that it wasn't there for nothing. It made me assume that we would see the manager again, and that would be at the end. And I'm so glad I came back this way. I'm also glad that the If poem came back. We got a small piece of the poem in part 51, when Arthur says, "Accept the will which says to them, hold on." It's one that stood out to me a lot, even how short it was. And I'm in general very excited for Series 2 for many reasons. We get to see more investigative Arthur and John, according to the trailer. And also, I joined in Malevolent very late. By the time I heard about Malevolent, I think Da Capo was just released, and I ended up binge listening to all of it. So I always felt like I joined pretty late, and I'm glad that I get to join on earlier for Threshold. And I'm excited to make a lot of art for it. But yeah, I'm having fun. Hope everyone's good. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Spade, for your submission. I'm so excited to be on the ground floor of Series 2. It's so thrilling.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
Taliesin, he, him. I could say a million things about the end of Malevolent and the beauty of this finale. Kane's hubris in forgetting about John, Lilith swooping in to save Arthur from his plummet and her subsequent Faroe moment to give Arthur peace at death, or the manager talking about his own daughter and how it changed him to lose her, followed by his insistence that he give Arthur a life with his own daughter. But the fact that John and Arthur are alive and well really takes the cake. They deserve that happy ending. And with living in a world in shambles, I cannot put into words how much it means to me for the hope in Hope Horror to have really come through like this in the end. These characters have come to mean so much to us and have changed my life in so many meaningful ways, and I'm glad to not have to give them up.
Thank you for your submission, Taliesin. I'm also really happy we don't have to give them up. I as I think everyone's come to realize, my coping mechanism is to deny vehemently until it's proven 100% for sure because I'm too scared to get my hopes up.
Right.
I think I really had just tried to make peace with the fact that their story was over because I didn't want to give them up, but I knew that if I was ready to have to, it would be easier.
Yeah.
So it's just such an overwhelming joy not to have to. I feel like I'm allowed to breathe now.
Right. But it is really interesting and cool to have experienced this in real time where the choice to let go was not only in the narrative, but it was also in the meta experience of being a listener who loves these characters but has to be willing to
Oh my God, you're so
face
right.
the idea.
We made the choice that Arthur
Yeah.
made.
Yeah. And I have to say that people were really emotional listening to the finale and having that, Arthur's death moment. But when I re-listened to the finale the following day, even before Arthur died, I was like, oh, this feels so hopeful. Because the overall feeling of knowing how that scene plays out made me feel so hopeful, even in the triumph before Arthur dies and comes back to life.
Yeah. Frankly, I mean, of course I'm delighted with how everything went, but if that had been Arthur's death, I would have been okay.
Yeah.
I would have eventually come around to it and been fine. But I'm so glad I don't have to, and I am so pleased that I don't know how I didn't put that together, that I kind of had to make the same choice that Arthur made to let go of Faroe and accept that reality wasn't for him anymore, and he had to find something else. Very similarly, as a listener, you're like, okay, I'm gonna be okay if Arthur and John are not in series 2 because I have to find something else to live for. Not everything is forever. You kind of try and get into that mindset. And then to be pleasantly surprised when you've accepted it and you're ready to move on and you don't have to.
Yeah.
But I do still think that there is some part of me that is sad because it's not the same Malevolent.
Sure.
Like, it's not the same story. It's a different story now. And I'm going to love it. I'm not saying that but it still feels like a loss.
Right.
The story's over. It's sad that it's ended.
I mean, endings are hard. Endings are always difficult.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Fae, she, they.
Hey, this is Scribbles, they, them.
Hey, we are currently in my room having just finished listening to the finale and the post-finale stream, and we are totally normal and sane and fine. Everything's okay. Everything's fine.
This is fine. Can we talk about Lilith Larson? Yes, Lilith is angelic and the halo behind her head, gorgeous wings, but still wearing Larson?
Very angelic.
Oh, God, like... I love my queen of nightmares and everything, but Larson.
Listen, I think Lilith pulls him off very well.
The voice, for sure, but Larson.
She wears Larson better than Larson ever wore Larson.
Okay, that's true. That is very true.
Oh my God. I am so glad that we get this ending where they're together and...
I was totally ready and willing to... let go, shall we say. Yes, I did that on purpose. But I'm happy. This is fun. This is gonna be good.
They got a long rest.
They did, and they leveled up.
They're gonna see a movie. They're gonna have investigating shenanigans. They're gonna find Charlie because it's called Threshold. And
we can always hope.
I am freaking losing it.
Oh, thank you so much, Faye, for your submission and Scribbles. I love hearing two best buddies hang out and yell together. Reminds me of fall.
Yeah, it's so cute. I was smiling so big when I reviewed this submission. I thought it was so darling that you guys got to watch the finale together and you recorded an autopsy message together. So cute.
Hi, Autumn here, and oh my God, he's alive! He's alive! I was so scared. What? Arthur? Oh, no. I mean, I'm obviously glad Arthur isn't dead, but Kane lives. He's just trapped in baby jail. I don't know if it's confirmed or not that the place he was trapped in is the Hollow, but I'd like to think so. I mean, just imagine, if you will, a place devoid of life, populated only by reverence, mire, and regret. Even the Dark World had horrors, but from what I've gathered, the Hollow is just an empty shell with no innards. It's really taking the whole Lucifer Cain versus Angel Lilith metaphor and running with it now that Cain is trapped in his own personal hell of endless boredom. If he thought reality was bad, this half-life is a veritable torture. It solidifies the intangible shackles around his neck. I wonder how long it's going to take before he starts chewing off his own limbs in desperation. Anyways, about the rest of the finale though, I of course cried like a bitch when Lilith showed Arthur Furrow in his final moments. I like to think that this is a direct result of Furrow's light in part 58. She finally got to see a glimpse of a father's love and wanted Arthur to go gently into that good night for it. I have a lot more to say about Threshold specifically, but I shall save that for next time. Have a good autopsy.
Autumn, thank you so much for your submission. Congratulations on Kane still being alive. I do think that will eventually be relevant. You're actually not crazy this time. I also think, now that you mention it, I totally can see how the connection to choices with Lilith might have led to her showing him Furrow or not.
Right.
Or like that whole scene might have made a difference with our choices. I mean, equally likely it had nothing to do with that. But because the story's over, I get to say I choose to believe that we had an impact on it.
Yeah, but I also, you mentioning Lilith seeing a father's love through Arthur, I also wondered if Lilith had an experience of a father's love through talking to the manager and learning about his relationship with his daughter, Lilith, who died. Oh, interesting.
The most legible of the items on Arthur's desk is a letter from the White House referencing Operation Majestic 12. Majestic 12 is a real-life conspiracy that posits that the Majestic 12 was an organization created by the U.S. government to cover up the existence of unidentified flying objects. Specifically, that it was created by Truman signing an executive order in 1947. The paper on Arthur's desk is dated September 26, 1947, and signed by Harry Truman. The other items on Arthur's desk include a patent filed by Orville and Wilbur Wright, a half-covered page from something Western Railway Company, a handwritten document paired with a photograph of a Nazi officer, 2 currently illegible documents as of 1 a.m. January 31st, and a framed picture of Furrow.
Hi, sweetie.
Thank you for the update on what was on Arthur's desk in the Threshold trailer, for those of you who are wondering.
Pie, sweetie. Okay. Have you looked outside in the last 12 hours? Do you have water? Are you okay? Let me know. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be okay. No, thank you seriously for the quick analysis of what is in that trailer. That's very interesting.
Hello, Autopsy. This is Ensick, but you can call me Edgar or Mel. They have pronouns, and I'm recording this about midnight after the finale. Oh my god. This was everything I could have hoped for. I was not expecting it to go that way. During the pre-show, when Harlan was saying that not everyone would be happy with the ending, I thought, oh god, Arthur is totally going to die. And I had kind of come to terms with it right before. And then he fucking lived. God, I somehow did not cry, but I was tearing up the whole last chapter. And they stayed together. Oh my god. Like, I could never imagine that this was how it would end, but we get more of them. Of Arthur and John, they get to be together, doing the whole private investigator thing in Arkham. And god, it was such an experience getting to listen live with everyone. I was mainly in the Patreon chat because everything else was moving so fast, but god, all I can say is I am so excited for Threshold and to get to still be part of this community while this is happening now. I've been listening to Malevolent for about 2 years now, but yeah, I get to be here for this. And my final thoughts are nose and threshold. Let's go. By Autopsy.
Thank you so much for your submission. I loved the ambient
I know,
crickets. I
right?
love it when I can hear people's like surroundings. It's very
Yeah.
aesthetic. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, and you've been around for about the same amount of time that me and Queen have been, Ensick, and yeah, I'm so excited. We've been so invested in being part of this experience that it's so exciting to be there from the very start for series 2. Knowles and Threshold.
The fact that I can hear his voice because I listened to it so many times. Oh man, he sounded so desperate. Man, okay, sorry. Anyway, we have an email.
I'll read this one. Our email comes in from Inky. It says, "Hello all, it's Inky again. There are a few points I want to touch on, and unfortunately I don't think I can make it quick, so I apologize in advance. To start off, the ending was phenomenal. I don't think I've ever cried so hard during an episode of Malevolent, and I've cried over this show a lot in the past. What really got me was the unexpected addition of the music box piano from Luna and Tom. I remember seeing it in the mailbag videos, and I thought it was very sweet of Harlan to give it to Arthur and John as a memento. Upon first listen, the debrief with the manager at the end gave me tonal whiplash. He sounded so disappointed that Arthur and John didn't have a bigger reaction to having literally just saved the world. But come on, I know they've died a couple of times already, but you gotta give them a minute to recover. The manager's offer to slot Arthur into a different reality felt a little too familiar. Another Nyarlathotep giving Arthur the choice of a happy life with a family that he always wanted, but while Cain offered to bring together Arthur's newfound family, the manager was offering him a life with the family he lost a long time ago. Neither option included John, so of course the answer is no. But John's reaction really surprised me. After everything they've been through, did he really think that Arthur would accept? Did he really believe that after all the times they've chosen each other that Arthur would choose anyone else? Absolutely not. For better or worse, they're stuck with each other, and I think they're both much happier that way. Also, the manager banning them from the waylay was very funny of him. Another thing that really stuck out to me was the epilogue/prologue. I've been making my way through the Call of Cthulhu games, and I remember in the post-game discussion of Campaign 1, Harlan mentioned that he liked bookended stories where the beginning is the end is the beginning. Da capo al coda, as my limited research has led me to believe, means to play from the beginning of a piece up to an indicated spot, then skip to the end. We went all the way back to the beginning of the series in this epilogue, and that was absolutely chef's kiss. I'm excited to see if Series 2 has a similar bookend, but I suppose we'll have to wait another 6 years to find out.
Thank you for your submission. I really like that you point out neither option included John, so of course the answer is no, but John's reaction really surprised me. After everything they've been through, did he really think that Arthur would accept? Did he really believe that after all the times they've chosen each other, that Arthur would choose anyone else? And man, if that does not speak to me, I guess, I was going to say anybody, but to anybody who's ever felt, who's had to ask, are we still friends? And you're like, yeah, what are you talking about? Are you mad at me? No. Like that kind of person, that's so John. Yeah. Like he just doesn't have that security and that confidence. But more importantly, I think this whole show, we have really experienced Arthur's constant connection to Faroe and how that what has kept him moving. I don't necessarily think that we've had a direct statement of I have to keep going for John. It's always been I have to keep going for Faroe, because John and Arthur have always been together. So they didn't have to like fight for each other, you know what I mean? So I feel like with this decision and John's skepticism over being chosen, I can really see that. I can see how that doesn't just speak to his insecurity, but also to the way that we've been told Arthur truly valued nothing more than the memory of his daughter. Right. And his ability to choose something else for the first time is monumental because it's so out of what we have come to expect. Right. So I do think that it made sense, but it makes me so happy to hear people like, obviously, duh, because I think that's very sweet.
Oh, and I accidentally cut some of Inky's email, and I do want to just mention that they also mentioned the jawbone in the bell jar because it could be a reference to Cain's jawbone. As another Discord user, GoGoat, already pointed out, is the name of a book. It was a murder mystery word puzzle written in 1934, and I believe isn't it the one that like has only been solved like 3 or 4 times or something?
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I immediately just thought, oh, that's Cain's jawbone, but probably has a million
It
meanings.
might be a reference.
Yeah. Apparently everything has 3 meanings in Malevolent.
Hello, Autopsy. This is Killerina, pronouns she, they. Getting a submission in for this episode of Autopsy is so important to me, not only because I have so much to say about the finale, but because I haven't been all that active in the community for the last month or so. I don't handle endings well. And I just wanted to say that one of the big things that made the finale as special as it was getting to experience it with this amazing group of people who have had such a large part in shaping the last almost year of my life. So to start this off, a big thank you to the community. It has truly been an honor to share this show with you all. Now, on to at least the first part of what I have to say about the finale. I had told almost everyone in my life that I was probably going to be a wreck afterwards. I had prepared myself to face the deaths of the characters that have grown to be such a large part of my life, and instead I finished it with more hope than I've felt in a long time, a smile on my face, and an eagerness for what's to come. Now, don't get me wrong, there were so many parts where emotions and tensions were running high, even for the parts that I had already experienced. Between the music and the knowledge that this story was coming to an end, I was definitely stressing. Ultimately, though, the conclusion of this series left me feeling like a package labeled fragile, handle with care, wherein that label was actually taken seriously. I've spent so much time laughing, crying, and losing parts of my mind to this show, and I genuinely cannot wait to venture into what's next to come with this truly welcoming and supportive group of people. I am so grateful to Harlan for putting the hope in hope horror, and as much as is possible with this genre, handling with care. I will see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Killerina, for your submission, and it means a lot to me that you submitted to Autopsy too. I'm so touched that so many people have mentioned finding this important to do. It's such an honor, and it makes me feel like everybody gets what I'm trying to do now. And it took a little while.
I was just gonna say that. They get it, Queen. They get it. They're part of the archiving now.
Yes, finally. And we get to all do it for series 2 really well and really thoroughly. So don't stop. Keep going.
Hello again, Autopsy. This is Killerina, she, they. My first submission was just gushing about this community, but I do have things to say about the finale, so I tried my best to put my mostly incoherent thoughts to words so I could share them with you. The first thing, and something that I always find true, was just how beautiful the music and sound design was, and just how powerful those things can be in regards to my emotions. I find this always true, but it felt especially strong with the finale, and maybe that was just because emotions were already running high, but it really stuck with me. The second thing is just how different it felt knowing there was something after what I had already listened to that I didn't know anything about aside from the outcome of the poll. And this could have just been because it was the finale, because technically that's how all the polls are, but it really felt different this time and really changed how I listened to the entirety of the episode as a whole. The third thing was just the absolute gut-wrenching sequence before we return to the waylay, the memories fading in and out of the sentences from John, and Lilith saving them from crashing into the ground, and then her using Faro's likeness to comfort Arthur as he died. It was gorgeous, but it was absolutely devastating. Lastly, just the entirety of the finale was so beautifully done, and it was such a wonderful and well-rounded way to say goodbye to Series 1, and left me so excited for Threshold. I just found the entire finale absolutely stunning, and it was such a roller coaster of emotions. I genuinely could not have asked for something better to say goodbye to the first part of this show.
Thank you for your other submission, and I'm very glad that you did submit again. I agree. The music and sound design made this so much more powerful than I thought it ever could be. I mean, Vol's entire carrot was about the part of the music. It truly feels, the music in Malevolent and the sound effects in Malevolent feel like characters in the story that I have grown attached to.
Absolutely. The tracks, we've talked about how the tracks have a sort of like emotional trigger, so that when track starts playing, even before the moment has fully reached, it's like fully had its moment, you already are like primed to have a certain feeling. And I think that it's natural that the music and the sound design would be so important in the finale. Speaking of little sound effects, I noticed on our re-listen today that you can hear Kane's wings flapping as Arthur's telling.
Oh my god, you
Yeah,
can?
it's freaky.
Oh my god. I have got to listen to that. When?
Right at the beginning of 300. So if you're listening to it chapter by chapter, right at the
Wow.
beginning, if you listen, you can hear the part of the soundscaping is Kane's wings flapping.
Good lord. Oh my god. What? Sorry, that blew me out of the water. Where am I right now? 13?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to read this one?
You go for it.
Hi, Autopsy. It's Fractals, AM, and it's. I'm here with some written thoughts where I don't descend into fits of laughter and can actually finish a sentence. We did it. We all held hands and let go, and they survived. We won. Since I started Malevolent, I have hoped that John and Arthur would survive. Harlan has said before that they weren't going to fail at the end. This is hope horror. The bad guys winning isn't very hopeful. But winning overall doesn't mean they couldn't still die at the end. But I had to hold out hope. It's the message of the show, after all. And they're alive. Thank you, Harlan, for the happy ending. We all needed it. Sidebar about Arthur Lester, because oh my god, this man is never going to rest, is he? He saved the world, and his first reaction was that it feels good, and his second was, what now? What now? Take a fucking nap. But no, he's immediately jumping on all the unfinished threads. I also love how easily he turns down the manager's offer, how sure he is in his decision, how much he's grown, because earlier Arthur would have jumped at the chance to see his daughter again, to have her in his life. And I think that it's only in rejecting that reality and choosing one without her is that getting her back feels earned. I'm so excited for what's to come, especially after all the reminiscing the community has been doing. I'm so ready for polarizing votes and madly overanalyzing everything and getting fixated on something wholly unimportant. I'm excited for everything John and Arthur have in store for them because I want to see more of these characters, and I'm so glad that Harlan does too. I'm probably most excited for this community and all the wonderful memories I know I'm going to make. I love you all so much. Bye. Thank you, Fractals, for the email. I'm very excited too, and I miss voting more than anyone can ever imagine.
I know, it's been almost a month. Because even when we got our release on Monday of the beginning of Series 2, it's one of the interstitials, so there's still no vote. So we're going on, what, week 3, week 4 of no vote?
Yeah, I'm dying. I'm withering away in real time.
And then Fractals gave us a voice reveal for the first time with their state of mind after the finale.
Here we go.
Okay, hi, it's Fractals AM, and it's... I'm sending an email in also because it turns out I can't do a voice session, but I wanna like capture the energy of what's going on because I'm so happy. I literally can't follow a single thought. Everything in my brain is firing because it's so, they're alive and we did it. And I'm gonna cry again. I can't. Oh, we got a happy ending, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get over this. I don't know what to do with this information. I'm so happy, and I think I've been permanently changed. Yeah, so that's... That's my voice submission. Thank you.
Fractals, that was the best. Thank you so much for that submission. I genuinely, I know you're like, oh, I didn't say anything and I sound so silly, but like the smile that has brought to my face, it hurts a little bit. I'm so happy, and I'm so happy to hear that candid reaction, because I think a lot of us are like
Sheer
that.
unbridled joy. Fractals, you encapsulated exactly how I was feeling on after listening to the finale. It was this just giddy disbelief at the level of happy, hopeful ending that we got.
I video recorded my reaction to chapter 300, and it's really funny because I thought I would want to look back on it, but there's so many times that I
Queenie,
can't
cut
tell if
out.
I'm laughing or crying.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So kind of one and the same, but there's several moments where you can, like, in the video, I mouth thank you, like, over and
Aw,
over again. I
yeah.
was like so thankful that things were going the way they were, and I needed so many of the moments that they put in there. So like that energy, hugely infectious. Yes.
Hey there, my name is Ajaqs, she, her, and wow, I so enjoyed that finale. I'm somebody who normally doesn't finish podcasts or TV shows when I really like them. This is because I don't want it to end. It's so silly now that I say it out loud, but it's like, well, if I don't watch the last episode, it isn't really over. It's essentially me lying to myself that I don't know how to let go. But Malevolent, well, when you love something and like really love it and become part of it, it becomes part of your DNA. And when something touches you and impacts your life like that, you realize it's okay to let go. Like, hold on to the memories, the community, and the friendships, but let go of the things that served you well while you had them. Because if you don't let go, how will you be able to embrace what's next? Thank you, Harlan, for ending on a high note, for making a fantastic story, and for bringing fans alongside for the ride, for giving us a seat at the table. I can't wait to embrace the wild ride that Threshold has in store for us. See you for the overture.
Thank you for your submission, Ajax. Oh, thank you so much. And describing Malevolent as part of my DNA is actually pretty accurate now.
Yeah. This was such a sweet submission. Thank you, Ajaqs.
Hi guys, this is Friska Friskito, she, her, hello! You know, I think stories are magic. At each stage of our lives, there will be a story that we will connect with in such a way that it will change us. I truly believe you don't just stop growing up with stories. At 33, Malevolent was this for me. It came at a time when hope had been drained out of me without my notice. I could not create, I was disconnected, I was apathetic. And then the first magic happened, and it was that of storytelling. And as I listened, a spark ignited. When I started participating in the fandom, I discovered another magic, community, because in sharing the experience with others, we lit our fires together. I was drawing again, I was writing, even composing, can you believe it? I made new friends and met people who were incredibly, if not aggressively, encouraging. A final magic presented itself the longer we gathered around the fire to listen, and exploded into a crescendo with this ending, and it was that of sincerity. Harlan, if you ever listen to this, thank you for making a story I can say I grew up with. The amount of earnest love you have for your characters is blinding, and you wield hope bravely. To the wonderful community, I love you guys, and I am truly incredibly honored to join you for the next adventure. Also, we did get a Madam mention, and it swooped in with wings, so close enough. I win Malevolent. Bye!
Friska, you are such a delight and such a sweet soul. Thank you so much for the submission, and thank you for being such a lovely part of the community. You know, when people say how great the community is, they mean you. And I mean you, whoever's listening to this, but also specifically
Yes.
Friska. You are such a lovely piece of our world, and we are so grateful to have you.
This message got me snuck up on me and got me choked up. This was a very sweet message. I love the idea of, I love what you said, how you put it, that we light our fires together in this community, and I think that's just beautiful. That's really sweet.
Hi, this is Minty, they, them. I don't even know where to start. That was an insane finale. I'm just at a loss for words. That was incredible. I've gotten so used to botched finales from TV shows and honestly podcasts too, where it's a mess to try and finish up all the threads that are there and come up with something that can be tied into a neat bow, or it just leaves you feeling unsatisfied and kind of sad. But this was amazing. It gave us everything that it possibly could have, because it gave us that cathartic ending of Arthur finally being able to let go and passing with the voice of his daughter in his ear. Oh, as Lilith, because she hated him so much when they first met. Just the change that happened in such a short amount of time, just from knowing him and his relentless approach. But his love for his daughter, despite that. We had the cathartic death. And then, surprise, boom, we're back in the Waylay. And then we get banned immediately from the Waylay, which I thought was really funny. But I can't say how happy I am that John and Arthur are still together, because I know there are other people who probably would have taken that memory wipe and had them split up, and that would have been like the cathartic ending for that team. And having it so that Arthur was able to move on from the death of his daughter, that this thing is no longer going to weigh him down so much as long as she's happy in at least one world, and choose the friend that he's made, the future that they're going to have together. It's so cool. And from what I've heard, this future is going to be so awesome. I am so excited. It feels like I've got nitrogen just jetted through my veins. Man, and the community has been great. Like, just in general, all of this has been lovely. I am so excited to see what comes next.
Thank you, Minty, for your submission, and I hope that you didn't wake anyone up. I love when I can tell people are recording for Autopsy in like suboptimal conditions. First of all, I think that's very sweet that you still are like try and want to record to submit to my silly little show. That's so kind. I know how difficult that is. Thank you. But yeah, I love that there's actually a very easy and clear split from the narrative people are allowed to make. Like, this is the story Harlan wants to tell. You get to decide whatever story you want to go with or tell on your own, if you want to clean cut it at this point or at that point, or like that. I think that's so much of why I love the voting system, because it gives me so many narrative forks. Like, what would have happened if Arthur had chose a different path is an answer you can create yourself. And I love that.
And it's been several days now, and so I have had time for reality to sink in, but the night of the finale and the following day, like, everybody was just sort of wandering in a daze, being like, Arthur Lester and John Doe private investigators real. It's real. It's actually gonna happen. Because I think we had been dreaming of a future where that might be the epilogue, but we get to actually experience it. We get to actually be part of it. And oh man, I'm getting all excited just talking about it again. Oh man.
The day after, I threw a party in the server and I played a bunch of games and trivia, and for the first time I got to make this party public, because usually I throw patron parties where only patrons are allowed to join and it's in the patron section of the server. Honestly, 99% of the reason they're locked to patrons is because I don't want to worry about spoilers.
That's really the only reason, and it's usually for like to celebrate like special releases of like certain parts and stuff like that.
Exactly. So it's not like personal, but for the first time ever, I got to mingle in the public because we were finally all on the same page with the story, and it was so fun, and there were so many people, and it was such a cool, like, it truly felt like waking up the night after a party and people are like hanging out in front of the TV very lazily playing video games and like chattering about what happened the night before. It was so great. I loved it.
Kat in the chat says it's just like my fanfics. Yeah, it was a real shock to have it sink in that we were gonna actually get to see Arthur and John as investigators.
Hey, Autumn here. New series, but the same old me, I'm afraid. I wanted to talk a bit about Threshold because, hoo boy, what's going to be interesting is how Harlan writes Arthur and John in the context of this new season. It's going to be a real balancing act, remembering their past in Blackstone whilst also not rehashing their previous character arcs, and I'm super excited to see what happens. Plus, now we have Joe as a permanent voice actor, we get more women! Yay! Malevolent has been a running bit in the community for years, and I totally get why, but I'm also super excited to see a female character who's alive and well and actively contributing to the plot. About Arthur and Fro specifically now, though, I don't want everything to come out immediately. God forbid it happens off-screen, Stranger Things style. I mean, Harlan's placed these characters in such a uniquely fascinating situation that having a sit-down, revealing everything talk would entirely squander it. Because just think, Arthur's now confronted with a living reminder of his failure, a girl he knows nothing about, yet who knows him intimately. Not to mention having to navigate his relationship with John, who he can't reveal to her, because that would prompt more questions that he can't answer, because what if she hates him then? It'll certainly be different if she knows he's not her original dad, but is that worse than the performance he'd be putting on otherwise? If this turns into a vote, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm not letting Arthur say shit, because fuck me, I want some of that juicy interpersonal angst. After all the physical violence, is some emotional torture too much to ask? And from Faro's perspective, she's been raised by a PI, so I have no doubt she's bright and observant like her dad. She'd clock Arthur being different immediately. The way he mutters to himself and bumps into things he should have seen, not to mention that she'd be able to tell when he's fishing for information that he by all means should know. Who is this cruel facsimile of her father, whose neck is marred by a deadly gash, and whose sickly yellow eyes can no longer meet hers? What has happened to her dad? This is the sort of horror I'm looking forward to, along with a healthy sprinkle of Jartha domesticity, of course. Anyway, that's all from me. Have a good autopsy.
Thank you, Autumn, for the submission. Yeah, looking at the future a little bit now, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I also want to emphasize that, first of all, if you haven't listened to the Joe interview, go do that. For the public, it's released already. For those in the live chat, Vol did do a patron edit. You can find it somewhere in the Autopsy channel. She has emphasized that, like, she's not in control of the character.
Right.
She's not making those decisions. Harlan is. She's pretty much a voice actor. And he's even having to coach her on doing that because she's not really that experienced with it. And she said she had to do a lot of takes. And from a novice's perspective, I think I would stress, I am so excited about Faro. I'm nervous about putting so much pressure on Joe.
Oh.
So I'm also trying to I'm thrilled, but I also don't want to make Joe feel like everything's on her.
No, of course,
you know what I mean?
of course. And I was so grateful for Autumn's submission because it's asking so many questions for us to keep chewing on because, I think that we're going to have to really be patient to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, it will be a very new dynamic for us to engage with. And oh man, I am so excited. I have like a million questions, but if I say them all right now, in like 48 hours, I'm gonna get answers to most of them. So I'm not gonna voice them.
And Autumn did submit this several days after the finale. So after they'd had some time to chew on questions and yeah, I love leaving these like question heavy submissions for the end of the voice submissions anyways. It gives us a lot to chew on for the next week.
Minor update, as of 5 p.m. EST January 1st, Ajaqs and I have found exact matches for the 5 visible documents at Arthur's desk. In addition to the Truman note, we have a notice from the Norfolk and Western Railway Company about a delayed shipment of tube roses, a letter from a German infantry NCO to his family paired with a picture of the officer, thank Tom for translating, a resolution from King County, Washington, regarding the movement of prisoners from one facility to another, and of course, the letter from the Commissioner of Patents to the Wright brothers regarding their flying machine.
Hi. I wish you luck on this journey.
I am saluting you. Thank you for the updates. Keep us in the know.
I wear the expression of Dryerlint. I am so bad at this, and you
Did you say the
keep doing what you're
expression of
doing.
Dryerlint?
That's what I did. It's not really what I meant, but that's what I'm going with because that's what came out of my mouth. No edits. No beta. You are a master, and I hope you have fun with the research. I just want to know where one specific character is, and what I will say is here's the disaster scenario I've come up
good.
with.
Yeah, tell us.
I
Tell us
think
the disaster
the
scenario.
whole series. Sure, everyone's excited because Charlie talked about the thresholds. That means Charlie's in Threshold, and the whole series is gonna be about finding Charlie. Okay, great. So the whole series is about finding Charlie. That means that the climax, the ending of this series could be finding Charlie, which means the entire series I won't get Charlie until the very end.
It's good to prepare for the disaster scenario.
Yes. So now I'm scared that the whole series is going to be about him, but not feature him. So that's what I'm clinging to until I find out
Hydra's in the
otherwise.
chat says, thoughts on Changeling Charlie? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. We're already over time. We can't start spiraling and crashing out about
I will answer that in one sentence. I will answer that easily. I take what I can get.
Wow.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another extra long episode of Autopsy. I hope you enjoyed. Get ready for some exciting new twists to come in both Malevolent and in Autopsy.
Yeah. Thank you all for sharing your experiences, capturing the energy right after the finale. It was so much fun to capture this in a bottle and be able to keep it forever.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, of course, to Harlan Guthrie, the sole creator of Malevolent. Without his labor of love for a story he wants to tell, we wouldn't be here. To join the live recording, submit your own message, get in touch with me, and more, visit Linktree/Malevolent Autopsy. The official Invictus Discord server is open to the public and includes a channel just for Malevolent Autopsy fans. We also have our own private, patrons-only channel. Finally, thank you to Misraa, Nikki, Vol Control, and everyone who has helped create and maintain Malevolent Autopsy. These friends are also volunteers who donate time and energy to help put together this love letter to Malevolent. Remember, in the end, it's never about certainty. It's about making a choice and moving forward. Until next time, the horrors persist.
So do we.